Hi, it's 975 and welcome to Elite Dangerous on the Xbox One, and today I've got a guide for newer players. Here's Polo trying to block the landing pad because he thinks I'm ahead of him in the queue to get to that landing pad, but I'm not. That NPC above him is. He hasn't realised that yet. Now, this is a video for all you new players, whether that be the new guys from Game Pass, and welcome anyone who's got Game Pass and is giving this a go. If you're here, you might be looking for help, and that's what I'm here to offer you. In the description on this video will be a link to a lot of help, a lot of guides, a lot of things that can help you. I will say I'm going to give some tips in this video, but they're going to be very brief. Mostly the description is what you want. Now, this game is savage at times, and it also has a very, very steep learning curve. A lot of people call it a learning cliff. I would highly recommend you play through the tutorials. Not something I've ever recommended on any other game I've ever played, but it can really help. I personally found this game really easy to pick up, but I'm very used to flight sims, and once I worked out it was a flight sim in which I could go reverse and stop dead, I found it incredibly easy to pilot my way around. A lot of people struggle with the flight mechanics, a lot of people struggle with the different flight modes, and that's what the tutorials are for, and a lot of the stuff that I link in the description below will also help with that. Now, the beauty of Elite for me is the fact there's no hand holding. It doesn't tell you what to do, it doesn't tell you how to do it much of the times. You just get on with it. You are basically left adrift in a very large universe and made to just get on with whatever you want to do. FDev provide a massive sandbox. What you choose to do in it is completely up to you. Now, there are 3 game modes: solo, private group, and open. I play virtually exclusively in open. The only time I ever go into private group is when I'm helping a noob who doesn't want to come into open. I'm very much an open only guy, but I've been in the game a long time. Now, I used to advocate just dive into open and get on with it, but that was before they brought engineering into the game, and when they brought engineering into the game, that changed things. Now, I'm more than happy to say it's safer to stay in solo and private group until you've got your base level of engineering done. So you've unlocked the engineers, got some upgrades for your ship, made your ship survivable. I would say that I now recommend you start off in solo and private group. There are plenty of forums, plenty of places to look to find other people, like-minded people to play with. Private group is basically a group you create and you can invite people into. It's a great way to learn, it's a great way to grow as a player, and it's basically a guaranteed cooperative game mode. But be careful, there are a few people that will snake into a private group and murder people, because, people. Then there is open. Now, open is the MMO environment that is the free-for-all, sometimes shit show. I think my controller's developed drift. Looking at that roll slight. The MMO setting that is the open environment is lethal, to say the least. You can be killed for millions of reasons, and lots of times for no reason. It is a Wild West gunslinger's place to be. Quite often fights are decided by numbers, and a lot of the time the big gang wins the day. So it can be rough out there for a new pilot. There are groups, which I'm going to link to in the description below, that help new pilots. There's one big, one small that I'm going to link to. They're my 2 personal preferences at the moment. I would also recommend EXO as the best player group to join to start with. I'll link to them below as well. They also help new pilots, and because of their size, there's always people on at all times of the day, so they can really help out, and they can always find you someone to wing with, just because they're the biggest. But the open environment is dangerous. You will get blasted, because if you go in there in an unengineered ship, you will get melted in seconds. I have a ship that can ram things to death so easily, it's just brutal. So be very cautious of the open environment as a newbie starting out. There is no consequence of dying in this game other than you lose a bit of money. All of your ships have a rebuy, which is 5% of the value. If you die in that ship, you lose whatever missions you were on, whatever cargo you were carrying, and you can rebuy your ship for 5% of your value. There is a rule within Elite Dangerous that we all like to follow, which is do not fly what you cannot rebuy. If you can't afford it, don't fly it, because if you lose it, you'll lose it. You know, if you don't have enough credits to pay for those rebuys, you run the risk of losing that ship, and that means losing the ship, all the modules, all the engineering, all the time, all the effort, all the work. So always make sure you have a very healthy credit balance, because that is basically your pool of lives and your resources all in one. You know, don't let that run out. A lot of Elite Dangerous will be grindy. I do apologize. The engineers are incredibly grindy. But look at it this way. You only have to do the engineers once, and once they're done, they're done. That's really the only good way of looking at it. What other recommendations would I make? There's 3 different flight modes, which is Super Cruise, Normal Space, and Hyperspace. Hyperspace is for jumping between systems. It's just basically a loading screen as the system opens up. If you high wake or high jump, as we call it, there's no mass lock factor. In normal space is where you do your fighting. If you jump from normal space into hyperspace, there's no mass lock, so that's always the safer method of getting out. If you try and go back into Super Cruise, which is called a low wake, then there's a mass lock factor, and the bigger ship will stop you jumping. That can cause risk. So be careful of that. I've done an escape and evade series, and I'll link to it in the description down below. It's one of the things I'll link to. But you know, good luck out there. Take your time, give the game a chance. It's huge, it's a monstrous game. There's a lot of facets to it. You will learn stuff 6 months down the line. Somebody will tell you something, you'll be like, really? That does that? I did not know that. So don't be afraid. It's a huge game. There's plenty of players that will help you out, plenty of nice players. Not me, because I'm a bad guy pirate. So I'm through with my helping people days, unfortunately, because the police kill people who consult with me.